Okay, good evening, college family. Let me say that again. Good evening, college family. We have a very special plan this evening. I'm hoping that we'll full up in a very short while, but right now we're going to begin. We have a special plan. We've been thinking about how we can engage our young old boys and how they can come and share with us how their time at Jamaica College, what they're doing now, especially about university and how they're coping, what they've been through and what they're going through now. This evening we have Akeem McKenzie and he's going to start off in a little while, and Ricardo Allen will join later on. Again, it's part of our responsibility to groom and prepare you for the life that you're going to have in a couple of years. And this is a perfect opportunity for gentlemen who have been here, been through, have blue blood, and can share their experiences with you. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with the school prayer. I'm going to ask one of our volunteers. Let's see who is here. Most can find somebody who, sure we have a sixth former here. Oh, we have a couple of good names here. Good, lovely. One of our sixth formers, please. You can volunteer. School prayer. Gentlemen, one of our sixth formers, go ahead. School prayer, please. Doesn't matter who. I'll volunteer you if you don't volunteer yourself. It doesn't have to be a sixth former. It can be anyone. Gentlemen, one of our sixth formers, go ahead. School prayer, please. Doesn't matter who. I'll volunteer you if you don't volunteer yourself.
Create among us a spirit of comradeship.
It doesn't have to be a sixth former. It can be anyone. Gentlemen, one of our sixth formers, go ahead. School prayer, please. Doesn't matter who. I'll volunteer you if you don't.
Let us serve with gladness. When we are called to rule, make us rule with justice. Drive away from us all ignorance and hardness of heart, all things dishonorable and unclean. Build us up in body, mind, and spirit, until we come to the full stature of the perfect man, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, John Mark. So we'll start with Akeem. And Akeem, you would have seen rotating on the screen Akeem's background. He came to Jamaica College from Harborview, spent 7 years with us, and ended up on the robotics team. He played table tennis for the school as well. But my fondest memory of him was us at the robotics championships years ago. Akeem is now at university, and he's going to share with you what has happened to him here at Jamaica College and what he's done with his life and where he is at now and how has Jamaica College helped that. College family, please welcome Akeem McKenzie.
Afternoon, gentlemen, parents, teachers. So I just want to give like a brief background on myself. I know Mr. Robinson just went through it, but I lived in Harborview. I don't know if anyone of you guys know Bayshore Park. So I grew up there most of my life. Went to JC from 2010 to 2017. During my time at JC, I was in the robotics club. I did table tennis. I did 5 years, then I did lower six and upper six. So I was there for like my entire time. I was on the PAC program as well, so I wasn't rich growing up. My parents couldn't afford college or anything like that. So I might be wondering why I decided to study overseas if I know I didn't really have the finances to actually support it. So basically, I wanted to get out of the environment that I was in. So coming abroad was probably the best alternative for me. There's more career opportunities here. Not saying there's not career opportunities in Jamaica, but here to here there's jobs. no shortage of opportunities for you to get a job right after graduating, and it's just good to be in a new environment. So the challenges that I faced before coming to the University of North Florida was, at first I had to take the SATs. The first time I took the SATs, I remember I had to go to quality for I think 2 months before I took it. So I was studying at quality. I took the SATs the first time. I think that was when I was in lower six. I passed, but I didn't do. I wouldn't say I got like best grade. I still got into a few colleges, but I didn't really get any scholarships. I know the point of college is to get some scholarships, so you don't have to pay everything. So I started to buckle down a little bit, and then I was like, you know what? Let me retake the SATs again in upper six. I retook the SATs and I got a better grade, and that what made me get not a full scholarship, but I got a scholarship opportunity that it basically changed my tuition from out of state to in state. So basically, I'll be paying the same amount of money like students here will be paying. So for instance, I'm paying the same tuition that a citizen here will be paying, which is actually a good deal. But I still couldn't afford university at that point, even when I got that scholarship. So after finishing upper six, did the SATs, I got the scholarship. I got accepted to the University of North Florida in 2017. What I did, I deferred my acceptance date to 2018. So I told them I don't really have the funding to come to college right now. So what I'll do, I'll stay in Jamaica. I'll work. I'll try to make up some money first before I actually go. So during that year, I took a gap year from school. So I started working at Sagicor Bank for 1 year before I actually decided to go abroad and actually started college. So I took a gap year just to work, just so I could afford it. And I also had a mentor that assisted me to paying my tuition and just getting me there for the first year. So doing all that, I got to afford it just to like go to university, and it was a pretty good experience, I would say. Just to work yourself, just to, like, so you can pay off your tuition. The process to do your SATs, getting your F1 visa to come here, basically starting off new. I had family here, so it wasn't that hard. UNF is in Jacksonville, and my grandmother's here, so it made it a little bit easier for me to basically make the move. But once I got here, there were a few challenges. Namely, once you're in college, the main challenge you're going to face is time management. So you're going to be in college, and there's going to be a lot of parties. Your friends are going to want to hang out almost every day, and that's where you get to neglect schoolwork. And that's why most students in college don't really have the highest GPA, because we have this thing called senioritis. I know you guys have that at JC still. When you're in your last, I think, upper six, you guys don't put that much effort in. In college, it's the same thing, but that's where you don't really get a high GPA. And the GPA is important for if you want internships or jobs for after you graduate. So the best thing I would recommend is to manage your time. Like, well, I would say focus on school first and parties after. Not saying you shouldn't have fun, but always put school as priority first before anything else. And I know most of you guys are fifth form and sixth form. The best recommendation is to do CAPE, especially CAPE Math, because in college you're gonna have to do gen ed courses, which involves a lot of math classes. If you pass CAPE Math, then the first 2 years of college for any math class is gonna be super easy. It's basically, for my first year when I got here, I took linear algebra, Calc 1, Calc 2. All those classes are basically stuff that I already did in fifth and sixth form. So imagine going to college and all the work that you're getting is super easy. You're basically breezing through it. So that was a very good thing for me when I just started. So I didn't have to worry about most of my classes, as I already did them in upper six and lower six. Another challenge I faced was the language barrier. When you come here, most people won't understand what you're saying. So my accent was, I would say, like, my accent was super thick when I just came. But then when I adjusted, now I have to basically start talking so everyone could understand me. The first job I got, I was at the front desk for the undergraduate studies office, and I would have to talk so everyone could understand. I would be saying something to them, and they would be saying, what are you saying? So it's good. So I would say practice speaking standard English. Not saying you should lose your accent completely, but practice speaking standard English so people can actually understand what you're saying. So that was probably one of the barriers that I face here. And in college, you're definitely going to need computer skills. No matter what degree you're trying to do, what courses you're trying to take, having good computer skills is basically needed, especially now with COVID and everything that's going on. You're gonna have to be around the computer. You're gonna have to be doing research. You're gonna have to be able to look stuff up. You don't want to be able to have to ask someone all the time to help me research this, help me do this. So having some computer skills is important. I know Mr. Robbins was stressing on taking EDPM or IT. I think that's really important. So having either IT or EDPM, you can't go wrong with that. What I'm doing now is, so I'm at the University of North Florida. I should be graduating in 2 semesters from now, so next spring of 2022. I'm currently getting my bachelor's in computer science, and my future aspirations is probably be a personal trainer or app developer. Right now, if any of you guys are interested in actually studying abroad or trying to come to the University of North Florida or any other universities, I'm actually one of the international ambassadors for my school. So what I do is I help students, well, for my school especially, I help international students come to basically my university. So if you're planning on taking SATs and you think that a school in Florida might be something good for you, I'm going to leave my email to Miss Henry. You can ask her for my email, send me an email, let me know if you're taking SATs. If you applied, just let me know. I'll reach out to my advisor and she can basically bump you up the list or basically give you a good recommendation to get accepted. And you could probably get the same scholarship that I got if you got a good grade in SATs, which is actually super good for any school that you're actually applying to.
That was excellent, Akeem. I think you went quickly, so I'm going to just, and I'm going to allow some time for questions, but I'm going to just recap quickly some of the things you said. You spent 7 years at Jamaica College. You were a part of the robotics team. You were a part of the table tennis team. You emphasized the study of mathematics and you emphasized computer science or something to do with the learning of computer skills. So you mentioned the math and how important the math is because you did CATE math. So you're encouraging a strong math background even for people who are going into business because your first courses included calculus, which you would have learned in CAPE and some ad math as well.
Yeah.
Go on.
No matter which degree you're going to do, most gen ed courses involve your Calc 1, Calc 2, linear algebra, some form of math. So having that background already is going to make it way easier.
So Calc 1 and Calc 2 is Calculus 1 and Calculus 2?
Yeah.
Right. And linear algebra?
Yeah, so those are usually the gen eds in college. So having... honestly, even fifth form CXC math for me made it way easier. The stuff that you see in the first and second year in college is usually stuff you already saw in either fifth form or lower sixth. So just having that background itself is just going to give you a better understanding of everything. You're basically going to be in class and you're going to be that person where everyone's going to be like, how does he know that already? You're going to be ahead of the class, basically.
So I want to underscore that to all the college men listening and all the college family, including mothers, how important it is to strengthen that math background, because the math is going to be the decider for a lot of choices that you have to make later on, and that background is critical. So I like that. You also mentioned the language barrier that you faced and that it's important to speak and understand standard English.
Yeah. So when I just came here, no one basically understood what I was saying. I'll be in class asking my professor, I'll basically be like, sir, you can't help me with this. And he would basically be saying, what? I don't understand what you're saying. So being here basically gave me the chance to understand how our language is and the barrier that it actually is to other people that's not from here. So it gives you the chance to actually see it from another perspective.
So again, the second point you raised is that we must make sure we're able to speak and communicate properly, so that if you go on the international scene, you are understood and you can understand what is being said to you. You mentioned also that you prepared yourself with a gap year, meaning you didn't come from a background that had the requisite money for schooling. So you had to work for a while and build up some capital. Tell us a little bit about that year.
Yeah, so my parents weren't really in all honesty, I didn't think I would have even attend the university. I didn't think I would afford it. If I was back in Jamaica, I might probably not even go to university at all, because my parents can't really afford to send me to college. So I wanted to have a better life for myself and for my family, and to basically make sure my family's okay in the future. So I told my mom that, okay, so I know we don't have the money, so what I might do, I'll apply for some jobs. And I already had an internship for Sagicor Bank, I think, the summer before. So what I did, I reached out to my manager from there and asked her, hey, can I work for 1 year before I actually go to university? And I ended up getting the job. So I didn't pay rent. I was still living with my parents back then. So the only thing I did was all that money I saved to sort out my F1 visa, the student visa, to buy the plane ticket, to cover some costs for tuition. And during that time as well, I also reached out to potential sponsors for help and assistance. So during that time, I was applying for several scholarships. So if you guys are planning on going to university, just apply for scholarships. It doesn't matter if you think you won't get it, just apply for it. You don't know what can happen. Especially if it's a scholarship where you have to meet them in an interview or you have to talk to them, just apply. If you go into an interview, just be yourself, be calm. Tell them why do you think you deserve the scholarship, be genuine, and you can get it. So just apply.
You also mentioned that you prepared with the SATs and that you got a scholarship through robotics, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
For the SATs, I remember you were the one that actually told me to actually go to quality, because I didn't know about the SATs back then when I was in fifth form. Mr. Robinson told me, hey, you should come down to quality, check out one of the classes. And I went to one of the advisors. At that point, I was just looking at the dream of basically going studying abroad. I was like, it would be so good if I could actually study in America. And then I was talking to one of the advisors there, and he was telling me there's several schools. I started to get excited about it. I was like, yeah, I actually want to do this. I went to a few classes at quality. At first, they were pretty hard, I'm not going to lie. But I started to get into it. I started to go every single day. I know college students get, like, when I was taking, I know JC students get a discount whenever we're going to do it. So that kind of helped as well. The first time I took the SATs, the grade wasn't that good, I would say. It wasn't great to get accepted into college, but I wouldn't get any scholarship. I'd have to be paying basically full price throughout college. And then I retook it, and then I got, I think, 1,200 out of 1,400. So that gave me the scholarship to basically offset most of my tuition costs. Well, not all, but most of it. So that kind of gave me a helping hand on it.
You also mentioned, and I remember you distinctly because of your participation in robotics and your tour in North America with the team and how well you all did. Tell us a little bit about that experience at JC and how that has contributed to your own exposure and development.
Yeah, joining robotics was probably one of the best decisions I actually made at JC. So I started, I was joining robotics in third form, I believe. And then at first I was one of the engineers there. And then I got into the programming aspect of it because I actually like programming. That's like my thing, coding, anything to do with software development. That's what I want to do. So I got into it then. The first year I joined JC, I didn't get to travel with them. So I joined, but I didn't get to go abroad and go to any of the competitions. The second year, when one of the chief programmer left, I got to basically be one of the second programmer for one of the side teams. So that was my first time traveling. Never been to America before. Just get a visa. Went up. Basically, my first time in America. It was basically one of the greatest experiences of my life because you're gonna be there with your friends. So everyone's there. It's a competition as well. So imagine going to a competition with your friends in America that where you've never been before. So that's basically one of that actually gave me the need to want to actually study in America. Once I went there that first time, I was like, I actually want to study here. I seen going there, seeing all the opportunities that they have, the different culture. I was like, I like it here. I want to actually see if I can get a degree here. So that year, second year after when I came down, I was like, I'm going to think about taking the SATs. And what also helped me was one of my, basically the head programmer, Shumba, he took the SATs before me. So he was basically the leader for the programming group at JC. And he took the SATs, and then I was like, he took it, he passed, he gave me some advice, and basically be like, just study, you can do it, just do this. So I was studying with one of the captains there. Usually after school, we just hit the books. Well, not every day, but we'd still like study, get some work done and everything. And so basically going in robotics is basically the building bridge for me to actually want to study in America. If I didn't join robotics, I wouldn't probably be in America or even want to be like studying in America. So for me, that was the only reason why I'm even here right now.
You mentioned two other things, and I'm going to open the floor in a little while for a couple of minutes. You mentioned the teamwork and the fact that you studied together in a group and after training, that kind of thing, and that teamwork helped you to grow, I'm sure. And the influence of Shumba, who was like the head of the team, the leader of the team.
Yeah, he on my degree right now is computer science. So what I do basically is coding all day. I'll do coding different languages, Java, Python, C, C++. So he was the first person that actually taught my first programming language. I didn't know about programming or anything like that. Coding, whenever I saw him on his MacBook doing it, I was like, brother, how you out of that hard? So like he'll be doing like some things where like programming the robot, and I was like, how do you do that? I want to learn it. So I basically went from there and started learning what he did. And then in my last year at JC, I became the senior programmer. So I basically took where he left off, and that basically gave me the light to basically say, I want to do this for my like future when I grow up. So robotics basically made me want to study here, and it made me want to do the degree that I actually pursued.
You also mentioned that you have relatives in the States and support there. Where do you live? Do you live with your family? Do you stay on campus?
So luckily for me, room and board is one of the most expensive things here. And I didn't want to pay basically because usually room and board is way expensive than it needs to be. If you ask anybody in America, the most expensive thing in America is rent. So I didn't want to pay for any of that. I had my grandmother here. Luckily for me, she ended up getting an apartment where she got me my own room, my own bath. So she basically got an apartment for me. So that's the only benefit. I had family here that could like help me out when it comes on to living situation. So I didn't have to pay for room and board. So I never board since I came here, but I'm always on campus. I always go to school. Well, except since recently, since COVID. But in my first and second year, I was always on campus. I would say another challenge is probably when you get here is transportation as well. I wasn't used to, usually in Jamaica you can take the bus and everything, but the bus system here is like set up differently. The first year I had to be taking Ubers like all the time, and those are like super expensive. You can spend like $10, $15 just to go from basically JC to Half a Tree, and that's like I think $2,000 just to go there. So that's like another challenge you can be faced, but it's simple as well. You can get like cash cars here for like $2,000 or even less than that.
Well, I mean, I'm going to open the floor to anybody, college men, parents, even staff members, to ask for a couple of minutes. Any questions you want of Akeem and we'll probably come back at the end with a couple of questions as well. Floor is open, guys. So raise your hands, and you'll be identified, and then you use the raise hand feature, and then we'll allow you to talk. So I see Ricardo asking a question. Go ahead, Ricardo. Your mic is on. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone. I was just actually sharing with you how pleased I am to be here and bigging up Akeem. Good job, Akeem.
Bless Ricardo.
Cool.
Anybody else who wants to ask Akeem a question, or Anthony Rattray, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. My question to you, Akeem, is, yeah, you worked to get over there and you got the scholarship and stuff, but when you went over there, besides your grandmother's help, how did you fund yourself, or how did you continue to survive as the years went on to this point, now, especially with COVID and jobs going haywire? How did you survive?
That's a good question as well, because most international students that's usually a struggle for them, as you can't necessarily work here when you come here for your first year. So there's a thing called CPT. So it's curricular practical training. So you can get a job in the field that you're majoring in. So I'm majoring in computer science. So I got a job where I'm a intranet SharePoint developer at this I'm trying to describe the company. So it's a real estate company, and I work in the IT department for them. It's a part-time job, but it's something that I applied for in my second year. But other than that, I had my family here. I applied for scholarships, having mentors. Let's see, how did I actually fund everything? So I had a few jobs as well. I had a few part-time jobs. So if you study in America, you can always work on campus. You can get a job on campus, but you can't work outside of school. So for instance, in my first year, I got a job. I was working at the front desk for the undergraduate studies. My second year, I was working at the student union. I was doing basically some electrical work. My third year, I was working for the Center of Research and Technology. So they have this thing at UNF called Canvas. That's basically where all students go to basically do their classes and, for instance, see their grades and everything. It's basically like Blackboard. I know you guys have that there, I think. So I was basically working on the back end up there. I was troubleshooting any problems that professors have. So that was my third job. And then the fourth one, though, was the one that I mentioned before, the internet SharePoint developer. And then, so all those are on-campus jobs. So you can get jobs on campus whenever. And then once you graduate, you get 2 years to work off campus. So how it works is, once you graduate, you can get, if you get a job in your degree, so for instance, mine is computer science. If I get a job, for instance, as a software engineer, as a software developer, I can work for 2 years for that company. And if it's a STEM degree, for instance, STEM is basically anything with math and science. So for STEM degrees, you get an additional 2 years after that. So basically, I have another 4. I basically have 4 years after I graduate to work in the States. And if you're really good at your job now, you can ask that job to basically sponsor. That's if you want to stay in America, you can ask that job to sponsor your work visa, and that's going to change your status from a student now, from an F1 visa to a H1B visa. That's going to allow you to actually stay in the States for however long you want.
Excellent. I see a question in the chat. Somebody's asking, what is your most difficult subject in college?
The most difficult class I ever taken was artificial intelligence. That's one I'm taking right now. I wouldn't say it's necessarily super hard, but the work is intensive. So what I have to do in that class is, our professor asked us at the end, throughout the entire class, our end goal is to implement a AI search algorithm. So for instance, have you guys ever played like a Pac-Man game or a snake and ladder game? So we basically have to build something similar to that, but it's gonna be where you won't be playing, but you're gonna build an AI that's gonna find the target for you. So that's probably the hardest class I've ever taken, or is taking right now.
Maybe you can quickly explain what is AI.
Okay. Artificial intelligence is basically having the computer do the work for you. Yeah, a pathfinding algorithm, as Xavier said. So the pathfinding algorithm that I'm implementing right now in my class is called A-star. A-star is basically where, see if I can give a very brief description of it. So basically, if you have a graph and you have a bunch of paths on it, you're gonna have a bunch of points on that graph. What A-star does, it finds the closest path that has the shortest distance to the solution, to the end goal that you want. So it's a bunch of calculations and everything, but once it's finished, it comes up with the shortest path. So these pathfinding algorithms are the same thing that Google uses for maps. If you ever go on maps and type in that you want, so from JC and you want to go to downtown, it gives you the shortest path. So there's there's a lot of ways you can actually use it. So Google uses for all maps. Let's see another. They use it for a lot of games. You can see it in Call of Duty as well. So most games and most maps you would see it in.
So, last question. Somebody asked to repeat the last sentence. If that company sponsors and then you have to change from an F1 visa, Amir Myri, you would ask that.
Okay, yeah. So I'm on an F1 visa right now. That's basically a student visa. Once you start working for a company, you're going to be still on your student visa. You're still going to be on your student visa. So what's that called? That's called OPT. That's optional practical training. That's where you work for the 2 years, as I said, the 2 years. But if you're a STEM, you get 4 years. So you're still going to be on the F1 visa. But after that 4 years, or even before those 4 years, you can ask your company, hey, can you sponsor my work visa? That's when your visa changes from an F1 to an H1. The H1 is basically where you get your green card and you actually can work in America after that.
Fantastic. Again, I want to thank you, Akeem. I'm going to ask you to stay on because I'm sure there are going to be more questions. One of us college family, and one of us who is now at the end stage of his first degree in computer science. Thanks again, Akeem. I'm going to ask you to stay on. We're going to need your information, of course. I'm going to go right into Ricardo. Ricardo Allen is the president and CEO of One-on-One, and you'd have heard of One-on-One Learning Solutions. And that's a leading e-learning company in the Caribbean. He attended JC from 2000 to 2008, went on to graduate with honors from University of the West Indies in actuarial science, and was one of the recipients. He's a recipient of the Carlton Alexander Award from Grace Kennedy, and has had several awards for entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership. Ricardo, thanks for being here, sir. We are very interested in what you have to say. The floor is yours.
You know, thanks so much, my principal, right? You know, team, I'm very happy to be here. Parents, students, staff members, some I know, some I don't know. Very happy to be here. Akeem, right? Brilliant, right? So, you know, I just, first of all, I was a little late because I was on a Love FM interview just talking about something massive that we're doing now. You know, the Ministry of Education has asked One-on-One to keep all students in high school, you know, online. And so we've launched our 1X platform, and we're just talking about that. But one of the things I mentioned to them, because they asked me, you know, what caused me to start One-on-One 7 years ago, right? And you know, I told them, frankly speaking, that, you know, when you grew up in a community like Augustown, seeing role models that are less than desirable, you need a school as strong as JC with positive influences to really help you to see something else, right? So my story, obviously, and it's nice that you have the two sides, right? So my story is a little different. I came to JC as principal said between 2001 and 2008. Graduated, went to UA. You know, I actually did the SAT, right, guys? So I'm just sharing with you. I did the SAT. Now I know there are third formers on this session, and I want you to listen about what I'm about to tell you, right? So I did the SATs in sixth form. I was thinking about going overseas. I had the grades and so on, but I decided to stay. And let me tell you why. So it started out back in JC. I was really, really happy about math. I love math, right? And, you know, coming to school, I didn't have quite a lot of money in terms of, you know, the nurse really fed me, right? So she gave me these food stamps, the things every Monday, Thursday, and must be, you know, Wednesday, I believe it was. And that helped me. And when she couldn't help me, you know, I was a part of the football team, then basketball. So, you know, you get food and lunch and so on. But I found my way, right? In sixth form, you know, I graduated with all ones at the Cape level. I did math, computer science, you know, I believe economics and communication studies. And I went on to university to study actuarial science. Now, here's the problem. I wanted to do actuarial sciences, but I never had the coaching as I'm giving you now in planning and to do an actuarial science degree. And so when I went to UA, they told me point blank that I'm not qualified. Remember, I got 4 1s in Cape. You know, I'm not qualified to enter the actuarial degree. So that was lesson number 1. I asked them why. They said, well, I don't have a lab science at the CSEC level. And what they call lab science, they call the physics, chemistry, bio, the lab science, or you could even throw in the human and social biology. That's what they call the lab science. And I didn't have it. And that's the truth. And so they wanted me to do a degree in social science, you know, something like banking and finance and so on. But, you know, I didn't want to do that, right? I love my math, right? I want to do actuarial science, right? Firstly, I didn't know what it was before I went to UA. It was when I went to the front office, the guys looked at my grade and said, boss, what you're doing in SOSI, you should be in pure and applied sciences. And I said, what's over there to do? And him tell me about this thing called actuarial science. I went home, found out it made a lot of money. And I said, well, you know, both of our goals align. I love this thing and it makes a lot of money. I'm going to do it. And so I went to the actuarial coordinator and I said to them, look, I need to do actuarial science. They said, no. I said, what can I do? They said, well, if you can take the actuarial courses and you can do well in them, we'll allow you to take the courses, but you will not be an actuarial student until you take the courses and pass. But if you fail, you have to spend another year at university. Now, I don't want to do that, but I took the risk. Took the risk, got a 4.2 GPA in my first year at UA, which meant that I would have gotten A pluses and probably an A. And then, you know, went on to second year. I was awarded a top 10 actuarial student in the Caribbean. And actually, guys, let's simplify a little, right? It's really calculating probabilities, right? Probability of, for example, you meeting, let's say, a hurricane coming to Jamaica, or someone catching COVID. That's a probability. So it's really risk management and so on. So I can predict things, right, using historical evidence. That's my skill, right? So then UA, you know, did pretty well. I got 3 scholarships going to UA. So let's start at the scholarships, shall we? So I got a scholarship at the first time from JPS. Got 2 other scholarships from Pan Caribbean and Sagicor. And you may be wondering, what am I doing with so many scholarships? Well, for starters, I was very poor, right? So I didn't have much money, and then I have a family and some siblings who didn't have much money too, so I had to help them. But I went to university, and I managed to maintain almost perfect immaculate grades across my first 2 years. Third year, though, bite off more than I can chew. Focusing on family, helping family, and so on. You know, I almost got a breakdown at the end of third year. Keep in mind, in second year, I was interviewed for the Rhodes Scholarship at age 19. The Rhodes Scholarship is the most prestigious scholarship in Jamaica. And I was interviewed for the Rhodes Scholarship, and I missed out to this neurosurgeon. His name is David Walcott. And, you know, I was quite pleased. Went on to finish the university. Sagicor was one of the companies who gave me the scholarship, and they gave me a job. So they actually paid for my education so I could come back to work with them, right? Now, that's important. Many people go to university, obviously, to get an education, but you get an education because you want to get a job. So it's always nice to do networking, guys. I cannot tell you how important that is, right? Networking is important for several reasons. And let me tell you 2. 1, the truth is, if you're doing well, there are hundreds and thousands of other students are doing well too. So what gives you the advantage, right? Nothing is owed to you. You have to go for it, right? And if you knock on enough doors, one of them must open. That was my mindset, right? So I made myself known. I made people know what I was up to. I made people who helped me and supported me always knew what I was doing. At JC, to pay for my CSEC exam, I had to walk to Ligani in the pouring rain with 10 letters asking people to give me a job. And if they pay for my exam, I'll work it back for them in December. A lady helped me with $12,000 to pay for my CXC. Her name is Mrs. Bars. And she owns Island Art and Framing. And she was the one who drove me for my road scholarship interview 2 years after. And up to now, me and her still keep in touch. So you have to network. And that network that I forged caused me to even get jobs and all of those things. Never write a resume in my life after JC. It was always, networking with my education, obviously getting me. So network is important from that angle. The second angle why networking is important is I met Akeem last week, and Akeem is going to intern or is applying for an internship at a large company. And I know somebody at that company, and I'm going to be connecting them too, right? So network is important because that's just the reality of life, right? You must know people, you must interact, people must know what you're doing, right? Also, when I was going to JC in third form, one of the things I always do is to scour the Sunday Gleaner for upcoming events. And the reason why I was looking for upcoming events is because I wanted to know where all the important people will be. And I made it my duty to really meet them, understand what kind of drove them, especially the ones who went to JC. So that was the networking side. On the other side is getting the scholarships now, right? So you have the networks, but that don't give you the scholarship. So I had three. I had 3 scholarships going to university. I got a Rhodes Scholarship. I was a Rhodes Scholarship finalist, and I was a Fulbright Scholarship awardee. And one of the things that I did in writing all of those scholarship application letters, I was very pure. I was very pure. Nothing better than pure truth, where you're coming from, what you want to do, and just about you, right? So I was very pure about my intentions and what I want to accomplish. But I also had a goal. And I made that clear, and I was able to articulate that goal. Now, I wasn't all that great at English language, but I must tell you that it helped me in writing those applications, right? Because you have to be able to structure your thoughts and so on. So that's something that I would brush up on now. But one of the biggest things that I can tell you that I've learned over the years, guys, that you're sitting here in third form, probably in sixth form and so on, and you have these goals. But in sixth form, Peter Meledo came and he spoke to us. That's a JC old boy. And he said to me, I have these goals. Son, at sixth form, I didn't know what I wanted to become. But I know whatever I want to become has to start with a solid education. And so the focus that I want you to focus on now is getting a solid education. Networking, right? Getting out there. Don't wait until you finish school to start upskilling yourself. You hear Akeem speak of artificial intelligence. There are several courses online that you can start doing now. I just employed somebody who is 18 years old, who is in sixth form, to be a part of my artificial intelligence team here at One-on-One. And he's earning a lot of money. Now, I'm not paying him cash, I'm paying for his school. But the minute he graduates, he's going to earn a lot of money because these are in-skill things. Another thing I must tell you is that degrees are important, but they are not as important as they once were. People are more interested in the skills that you have. So you can go ahead, get a 4-year degree, no problem. I did it. So why would I tell you not to? I would tell you to do it. But I did it slightly differently, guys. While I was attending University of the West Indies, I was actively pursuing other skills. I was a statistician for Pan Caribbean. I was working on a government project on the liquefied natural gas coming into the country. That's the LNG project. I was doing these other projects to upskill myself and to build a resume so that I am marketable, right? So when I send across my resume, people are not just shrugging it off. The final point I will say before I take questions. It's interesting that I'm on the other side now, that I'm employing tons of people. One-on-One currently employs over 40 full-time people and over probably about, how many teachers we have? About 40 teachers, right? So it's about 80 people in total. And I've had the benefit of looking at resumes, seeing what people are putting forward and so on. And the truth is, they're good people, But the first thing I want you to do is to create a profile on LinkedIn, even from now. And your profession is a student, okay? Right? Your profession is a student, all right? And anything that you accomplish over the next 2-3 years, you just keep updating it annually. Keep updating it annually. Because that's what people will look at. I don't look at cover letters as I do resume. And the first thing I look at is that, what experience do you have? What have you done to justify that you can do this job that I need to get done? I don't even look too much at the degree, to be quite honest. I'm looking at the skills that you have and so on. There are several companies like Apple and Microsoft, and they have removed the mandatory requirement for their roles from having full 4-year degrees, some of them. If you Google it right now, you will see, right? It's not as important as it once was. It's important. But what's more important is for you to get a skill, get digitally certified, have the little tools that you can use. So even if you're doing a degree, guys, like I did actuarial science, but I don't practice actuarial science, no. But what it gave me was the opportunity really to branch out into other things, to be a consultant in this, a consultant in that, and so on. And you know, it's really the foundation to what I do now. So those are 3 things I'd kind of leave with you guys. You know, network, you know, prepare yourself from now, create an online profile on LinkedIn, keep adding to that, keep doing things that makes you better. If next year come and you're at the same place that you're at now, you would have made no improvements in your personal upskilling. And now is the time, right? In the summer, don't waste those summers, right? I usually use my summers really to look at opportunities. I have a book right now that says all scholarship opportunities that are available, scholarship money, right? And I look through it. I had the honor of winning the Bank of Jamaica essay competition for Jamaica College back in 2008. And that was my first money I got to go to school. I got $60,000. I used that money and then I went to Supreme Ventures and said, look, I have $60,000. Can you give me 40? They gave me 40. I used that 40. Now I'm at 100, you know, I need 270. I went with that now and said, go to Surgical and say, I need a little bit more. And that's how I paid for my education. Because success breeds success. And sometimes the hardest thing a man can do is start to give you. But once you get the first one, you can build on that. Now, the last thing I want to leave with you is that you see, when people help you, you have to make them feel good about the help. What do I mean? So when a man give you a scholarship, he could have given anybody a scholarship, you know. When a man help you with the finances, he could have given anybody that, you know. Well, you know, the most beautiful reward for him is for you to come back with some good grades, for you to reward them by performing, for you to ascend the social ladder because of what you have done. And JC has certainly helped me. Now, you said that I've never written a resume. I just saw that comment. Yes, I did. I wrote the resume to get the first one, and that was the last one, right? Because my job spoke for itself. So yes, I had to write a resume. When you're applying for the scholarships, you have to write resumes as well. You have to write what's called curriculum vitae, which is an extended version of a resume. So yes, I have my resume and I update it every year, but I've not had to use it because of my work on the ground and what I've done and the skills that I've owned over the years and the fact that I've started a business at 21 and I basically went out on my own. So guys, very happy to share with you. Love to take some questions. You know, one of the most exciting things about this, guys, is that 10 years ago, I was sitting CSEC and CAPE exams. Now I'm building the platform where everyone who is sitting CSEC and CAPE is studying on. And we're very excited about that, guys.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. That was excellent. I'm going to open the floor right away. I will ask, there's something that is common and a number of things that are common. I heard you mention the support you got from companies, and you mentioned a couple of JC companies. How did you start the business? How did you get the finance to start the business? That's my only question.
Yeah, I mean, the finances to start the business, we started the business with $5 million, right? And to be honest with you, it was a group of JC old boys who I went to with the concept of personalized education online. And what we did is that we did a 3-minute video and we pitched to these JC old boys and we raised the money quite quickly. And I must tell you, and I must announce now that the business has grown to a stage now where Sagicor now owns over 20% of the company. So we've grown the company from just, you know, me networking and people investing to companies investing in the business, right? So, you know, that's how we started. So it's really just selling your idea and selling your story. And the most beautiful thing about that principle is that we didn't write a business plan in a natural way. So that's the next thing I must tell you, to, you know, learn how to write a business plan as you're writing your resume. So what we did is that we conceptualized the business in a 15-page document, but then we recorded it on a CD. Now, you don't know about CD. Those are probably outdated, but we had it on a CD and we just played it. And I went to dinner with people and so on and just showed them the video. And they gave us the money to start the business. And that's how we started.
Excellent. I'm going to open the floor for the common thread is that they mentioned support from JC Old Boys. One of the things that Akeem mentioned earlier is his mentors. And I will tell you that his mentors, I know at least one of them, JC Old Boys. JC Old Boys give back to JC Old Boys and give back to JC, which is what they're actually doing now. Remember that, college men, because you are going to be here in this position that they are in now 10 years from now, giving back, or as we would say, giving forward. What's the name of the business? It's one-on-one. You can answer that.
The name of the business is One-on-One Educational Services. You can sign up now. The ministry has sponsored or paid for all students who are sitting exam to take their courses or to prepare for their exams on the platform. Everything from their past paper solutions are there to the entire CSEC curriculum is already there for them. And we're starting live extra classes as well on the platform, and personal tutoring will be provided on the platform. So it's 1x.co, and you can get all of that now by signing up for free. And every household will be able to sign up for an account and add up to 3 family members at no additional charge. No problem, Matthew.
Come again. Any other questions for Ricardo?
Yes, sir. I wanted him to repeat the LinkedIn something I didn't hear well.
The link into one-on-one. Go again, Ricardo.
The LinkedIn, I think he mentioned LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn. Okay.
So for LinkedIn, Cape Physics is there, by the way, Theodore. So all CSEC and Cape subjects, 32 of them are there. So LinkedIn, right? What we're saying is, guys, the first thing an employer does right now when they're employing people is look at your LinkedIn profile. Okay? That's the first thing I do. So I go onto LinkedIn, and if I can't find you on LinkedIn, I'm a little frustrated because I want to see how you see yourself professionally, right? And so what I'm saying is start a LinkedIn profile, ensure that you have a professional picture. It's okay to have your school picture right now because you're a student. Your profession can either be a student or what your future career goal is. So, you know, Ricardo Allen, a future actuary, you know what I mean? And keep that updated every year with everything that you've done and so on. Keep in the space, network with people. Any CEO you see on TV, on primetime news, you can connect with them on LinkedIn and just start chatting with them. Why wouldn't you do it? So I think every college man should have a LinkedIn account. Every college man should keep it updated. And forget about the Instagram and the Twitter. That's nice for likes, right? But if you really want to build a solid career, start by how you look and how you look to the outside world and start building your profile, right? Can you leave a link here for LinkedIn? It's linkedin.com, and we can post the link.
Yeah, just to add something else, guys. Having a good LinkedIn can make getting a job like super easy. So, for instance, what I did on my current job right now, I added everyone there for my previous job. I added everyone there on LinkedIn. I didn't know most of those people, but we had the same job. We worked for the same place, University of North Florida. The job that I have now, I got that because of a connection I made off LinkedIn. So that connection, because we worked at the same place, I messaged the person, basically the IT manager. He went to UNF. He used to work at UNF too. So I messaged him like, hey, I applied for the Internet SharePoint developer job. And then you start a connection there. That's what basically they want to see. Once you have something in resemblance, for instance, you guys worked at the same place, you went to the same high school, you basically it'll basically put you ahead of getting the job. So for the job that I have now, they didn't really have to look at my resume that much. I talked to him, he got to know me like, oh, this guy studied at UNF, he worked at the same place I worked before. So that basically gave my job application a push to the top, basically.
Questions again, gentlemen. Our parents or teachers, any questions? I see one here asking how the advice to start a business. I saw that earlier.
Let me just comment on that quickly. First of all, Akeem, that's so important what you just mentioned, right? And you know, that's what I hope is not lost. I'm not saying do not write resumes. I'm saying the quickest way to get out there is creating a LinkedIn profile. As Akeem said, you know, people are checking these things daily and forming new connections socially. So that's a big network, right? And it's free, right? You don't have to pay. So just go ahead and create your LinkedIn account now. So starting a business, okay, guys? Very important. Oftentimes we talk about, you know, let's write resumes and let's send it out, but we don't talk often enough about starting your own business. Do you understand the fact that as a developing country as Jamaica, in order for us to become developed, we have to develop things, right? And for us to develop things, you are a part or soon to become a part of the labor force who is being looked upon to develop those things. And why not solve those problems? NCB is not going to do it because NCB is making a lot of money doing what they do, right? Sagicor is not going to do it. They're making a lot of money doing what they do. If you can find a problem that you feel very passionate about, that you can articulate, that you can get some of your friends and family to start using it just to validate the concept, then you can actually push that out and sell that concept and get money for it. You don't even need money for it. Because I actually started my first business as a teenager. I used to sell flags. And I used to take the orders from people come Champs time and make superhero flags, for example. Right? And have the tailor in the neighborhood do it. No, you know, at the end of the day, as a teenager, you don't want to be working and so on. And I was in that situation, so I had to do it. But I'm saying just find a problem and solve it. And who knows, it may be a or the next big thing. So problems like making use of renewables is one. I see Kemar mentioning that. So absolutely.
Good. Questions again?
Someone mentioned Brinky. Could that one last month one of that?
Mention what?
Brinky, I think as
Brinky, right? Okay.
What's
Okay.
Some version of them used to sell it still.
Yeah, we know them. We know them. So this was really a good session, gentlemen, with a lot of information for the young men and the college family, not just for them, but their parents who are on with them, and teachers who are here who can provide guidance throughout the year. It came from two different angles, and from gentlemen who went through a university, went through Jamaica College, participated while at Jamaica College, managed to find a way to get the best out of Jamaica College, use that best to get into university, and find their way through university, and one at the end of his tenure shortly, and the other one now out in the world creating waves. I want to ask if there are any more questions before I wrap up.
There are a few there, Principal.
Okay, let's hear them.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Piano.
There's a problem I have signing up, sir. The part where it's asking for my school and university and my degree, sir. I tried to skip this part, sir, but you can't.
For LinkedIn you're talking about, or for one-on-one?
LinkedIn.
For LinkedIn. No, man, your occupation is a student.
No, sir. I understand that, sir. I clicked on that, and it's sending me to a page where it's asking me for my degree, specialization, and asking me if I'm over 16. I click no, sir, and it's asking me for my date of birth, but there's still a part saying degree, specialization, start, and year.
So I think they're asking what you're thinking of doing with your life.
Oh, okay, sir.
Question.
Answer, Principal.
I see a comment that's saying you should not be afraid of putting yourself out there. When it comes on to getting jobs, it's never good to be shy. So always try to network. Always try to be always let the employer remember you, basically. So you don't want to, for instance, you go to a career fair you don't want to be like everyone else there. Try to stand out. Try to ask questions. Try to be engaging. Try to listen to what the person is saying. Not just go there and just not talk, be shy, be in your little corners. Open up, ask questions, talk to whoever is there. Anywhere you go, just try to. For instance, you can meet a CEO anywhere. Talk to them, network, get their LinkedIn account, connect with them, ask them, like check up, ask them how's the work life going. So yeah, never be yourself to put yourself out there. That's how you make connections, and those same connections are going to get you jobs in the future.
Excellent. Again, put yourself out there, network, and make connections. Ricardo emphasized networking earlier and making connections, meeting people, putting yourself out there. You can meet a CEO anywhere.
Yeah,
So,
one question there is, good evening. Can I get some tips to help my son study more? Very concerned. Which level is the son, right? Is it third form, fourth form, or fifth form? Let me just say this right now for the purposes of this call. Mr. Robinson, you have my credentials there in terms of my past academic profile. In second form, I got an average in one semester of 35%. Let me just say that right now, okay? My math grade was probably about 80%. And, you know, I was always great at math, but I was going through a lot at home, right? And so while my grades were pretty low at that time, you know, it was for a reason. It didn't say that I was weak at school or anything like that, right? Once I started to apply myself in third form or so on, you know, I graduated top of my class in both sixth form and so on, top of CAPE and all of those things, right? Now, how did I do it and how do I study, right? Now, I didn't have the motivation in terms of external motivation where people were sending me to study or so on, right? I had to develop that on myself, by myself. I had to find a motivation inside to study. And that's what drove me, right? So if you're very concerned about your son, I would say find something that he's very, you know, excited about or passionate about, and get him to see the value in studying to achieve that particular goal and see how that works, right? You may need a little talking to, not sure. I certainly needed a little talking to. He's in 3E. Yes, I hear you on that. So look, there's, you know, we're boys at the end of the day. You know, and sometimes we take a little time to turn around, so parents don't get too worried. As long as the child is a good child, you know what I mean, has some good values, say good morning, good evening, is very polite, you can now work on him, right? Because that's much better than having a very disobedient child and so on. But, you know, don't be too concerned if he's too young, but if he's old, CSEC is coming up, or CAPE, help him to understand the value of doing it. And it may just be something that he's passionate about. So those are my thoughts. I don't know if you have anything to share, Akeem.
To study more, for me, my mom pushed me to actually study. If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't get the grades that I did. So my mom didn't really work. So every day when I go in, she'll be like, all right, do your homework. So she basically pushed me. She always told me like, all right, you know, when basically not come from nothing. So just try to work hard now and then you can relax later. So she's the reason and the motivation that actually got me to like study.
At the end of the day, something has to tick over in your mind. So I'm glad both of you mentioned that. Teddy, you want to say something?
Yes, this whole business of trying to get boys to study more, study harder. I just want to follow on from Ricardo's point. You know, I think one of the keys is really trying to find something that the boy is passionate about. Could be sports. But to be very good at sports, it means that you have to understand a lot of things. You have to understand biomechanics. You have to understand nutrition. Mathematics comes into play. So history can come into play because with sports, it's always good to know the history of the field, the particular area of interest. And if I were a parent with a child like that, what I'd try to do is look at what that child is passionate about, as Ricardo said, and try to link subjects back to it. So again, you know, if you love sports, then a simple thing like nutrition, and what is nutrition made up of? Is biology, there's some chemistry, and that sort of thing. So is no straight path to it, but if somebody is passionate about something, then my advice is try to find ways to link the subjects that the student is taking classes in back to their passion. That's what I would suggest.
And I can underscore, gentlemen, everything goes back to your mind. Everything goes, all the decisions go back to your mind. And if you can get to in that youngster's mind as to what it is that makes him glow and take, that's what they mean by passion. If you can get that, then you will find a way now to link everything to that. And if you can do that, you will get him moving. The important thing is to connect that passion to how to get there. And if you can do that, then you'll get something out.
Oh, Mr. Robinson, do we have any athletes in the chat, if you know?
Oh yeah, man, I'm sure. I see Garnet Stewart. I see a number of our athletes on board.
Oh yeah. What I can recommend for anyone that's in sports now or even want to, for instance, study abroad, take videos of whatever sports you're doing. If you have play ball, if you have play cricket, have videos, especially if you're actually in the game and you're doing something. Take videos, have a it's called a highlight video, put it on YouTube. A lot of people don't really have to see it. Just have those videos, put it on YouTube, or just have the video, make some highlights that are really good. A good recommendation to get any sports college is sending that highlight video to the recruiter to any university that you want to study to. So, for instance, if you want to go to University of Florida, for instance, send that video to, you can find his email, go on their website and type in University of Florida soccer. And there you're going to see a head coach, get his email, send him the video. If he likes it, he's going to be like, hey, I want you on the team. So you can basically recruit yourself to most universities. Most people don't know about that and they don't do it, so that can actually help you out.
Very good point. You open again, Teddy. You wanted to say something more?
Well, somebody asked a question. I do want to add something, but somebody did ask a question. Just the comment I'd make, Akeem was speaking about posting videos on YouTube and so on. We spoke about LinkedIn, which is basically a social media platform as well. But I would also caution the young men, be very, very careful what you post in things like Facebook, Instagram, and so on. Because if you post inappropriate material there, it could actually come back to haunt you one day. And I know that companies are beginning to look at people's social media profiles and what they have been posting before hiring them. And I suspect it will extend to university applications as well. So be very, very careful what you do. Don't put anything on that you could regret at another time.
Yeah, Mr. Alexander, that's a very good advice, because I can tell you that even the universities are starting to look at that right now to make scholarship decisions. Because again, if I give you money, I want to ensure that you will be a good ambassador, right? Yeah. You know, when I was shortlisted for the Rhodes Scholarship, one of the things that you have to do as a part of the Rhodes Scholarship interview is to go to dinner the night before. Right? Now, up to that point, I had not known how to use a knife or a fork or anything like that, right? And I had to sit with previous Rhodes scholars, eating with the knife and the fork. And there's a JC old boy who taught me how to use a knife and fork, Danny Williams, a week before that, right? So I'm just sharing that with you so you understand that for these scholarship applications for universities, they're looking at how you move in social circles. But what is the social circle now? Your online profile, the Instagram and the Facebooks of the world. So be very careful about what you post, when you post, who you post it with, and so on, right? Because that short-term decision may lead to long-term impacts, right? And you don't want that.
It makes a lot of sense again, gentlemen. We're at a kind of university of the world here. Very, very good. Questions again, gentlemen. We're going to close off in a minute. Are there any more questions? Go ahead, Don. Okay. So you need to say it in the chat. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, there are a few.
Some questions in the chat. Tavar Blair asks, what if you want to do subjects like philosophy or forensics.
Mm-hmm.
I assume he's asking how you prepare to get into those fields.
Well,
Uh,
go on, Kaki.
Preparing to do any courses or any degree in college, you can prepare anywhere at all. Basically, anything that you want to do in college, you can study it online. So I didn't necessarily have to get a 4-year degree to know computer science. I could have just stayed in my room and be coding, for instance, 2 hours a day, and I can learn the same amount as if I went to college. But going to college gives you that, gives employers that, okay, he has a level of understanding. He knows what he's doing and he's committed to basically a goal. So if you want to do philosophy or forensics, look it up. Go on, there's a lot of resources online. Go on YouTube. You can read a book on forensics. There's so many resources. But I can tell you guys this. You can say you want to do one thing going into college, and it changes like drastically. For instance, I started UNF saying I'm going to be mastering in mathematics because I love math, and I was like, I want to major in math. And I was minoring in computer science. In my first year, I switched that. I know I'm majoring in computer science and I'm minoring in mathematics. So you can also give your first year as a range point to see what you actually want to do, because you might go into college saying, okay, I want to be a doctor, and then in your first year you might switch and say, okay, I want to be a lawyer. This doctor thing isn't working out. So if you're really sure what you want to do, just look into it, and if not, just work with what you're already doing in your first year.
Again, very good advice. A lot of information is on the net. You research it, gentlemen. You don't need to wait on anybody at all. You research it. All right, closing comments, Ricardo.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, I'm very happy, for all of these four. I don't get enough time to, because we're so busy to come back and just share. But I think this is important because in the same way I was in sixth form looking up at Peter Meledo and so on, having him share knowledge with me, it really helped me to make some decisions in my life that has really, in my opinion, gone well so far. And so my duty, being an old boy, is really to share with you all the little things that I know that has certainly helped me to get to the point that I am now, and the building blocks that you can use to either get to this point or to go beyond that. And I have a rule, right? If I had little or no knowledge to get to where I am now, and with that knowledge I'm sharing with you, then you have no excuse. You must be at least where I am now, right? So if you're sitting there, right, you need to go far beyond this, right? What I've done is nothing compared to what you can do if you just simply apply yourself, make the right moves, listen to the parents, right? Be obedient and be a good student, right? Be a good follower before you can be a good leader, all right? That's it for me. Good night.
Thank you. Akeem, closing comments.
I just want to tell you guys that no matter what background you're from, how difficult anything might be, there is always a way to actually do something if you have the drive and motivation for it. So you might be thinking, oh, I can't afford this, but if you work towards it, if you're actually determined, if you have the drive, it's possible.
Yep.
Thank you. We've had two old boys. You actually heard Teddy Alexander, who is a member of the board and also an old boy. I don't know if Teddy has any parting comments before I close.
I just really like to thank everybody for turning out, and also thank Akeem and Ricardo for sharing so much excellent advice that they gave. Congratulations to both of them on the success that they have enjoyed to date, and look forward to their future successes. I think that what Akeem and Ricardo have achieved should be motivational for all the college men who are on this chat, on this video today. Basically what they're saying is the sky is the limit. Don't limit yourself. If you have a goal, if there's something you want to achieve, well, go and do your research and then go for it. Well done. Thank you, gentlemen.
And thank you, Teddy. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for the staff, the team that put this together. Thank you again for members of our leadership team here, members of the staff who are on watching, the vice principals. Thank you for the IT team down on our crew, Shanil, I really love what we saw today. And gentlemen, we're going to do some more of this. We're going to continue this as we try and develop. We have a responsibility for stewardship of the boys we have in our hand now in the most difficult era we've faced in our lives. But gentlemen, we're college men. We're leaders. Congratulations, gentlemen, and thank you again. Have a good night, everyone. I was going to say get home safely, but you all should be home, so I should be talking to myself. But again, we will keep you abreast as we do more of these talks that will help your development. Thanks, Akeem. Thanks, Ricardo. Thanks, Teddy. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir. All right, bye, sir.